Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Testing. All right, here we go. All right, howdy, everyone. Welcome to Wikipedia. This is day one of Texas versus Tanner Horner. Horner pleaded guilty to the capital murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand. This jury is now in the sentencing hearing deciding life in prison or the death penalty. Watching exactly as the jury sees it, no commentary, no breaks, and no interruptions. Hit that thumbs up and follow if you're new. Let's go.
Everyone may be seated. Good morning. We are ready to proceed. I apologize for the delay. I need all of you to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you and each of you solemnly swear or affirm that in the case of the state of Texas versus Tanner Lynn Horner, you are a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence to help you God? I do. All right. Everyone may be lower your hand. Mr. Horner, if you would stand, please. Mr. Berry, you may arraign the defendant.
Thank you. May it please the court?
Yes, sir.
In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury for the county of Wise, state of Texas, duly selected, impaneled, sworn, charged, and organized as such during the January term AD 2023 of the 271st Judicial District Court for said county, upon their oaths present in and to said court at said term, that Tanner Lynn Horner, hereinafter styled defendant, on or about the 30th day of November 2022, and before the presentment of this indictment in the county and state aforesaid, did then and there intentionally cause the death of an individual, Athena Strand, by strangling and or smothering and or asphyxiating Athena Strand with the defendant's hand, the defendant's foot, and or the defendant's body, and the defendant was in the course of committing or attempting to commit kidnapping of Athena Strand, and signed against the peace and dignity of the state by the foreperson of the grand jury.
Mr. Horner, to the charge of capital murder, you may plead guilty or not guilty. What is your plea?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you. I will accept your plea. You may be seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, when a defendant pleads guilty to an offense, I have done admonishments to him outside of your presence and am satisfied that this guilty plea is given freely and voluntarily. So as we get into the trial, I will give you an instruction at the appropriate time for you to find him guilty. Okay? There will no longer be a first phase of the trial to where you will be determining whether or not guilt has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. I will give you an instruction to find him guilty. So now your sole duty will be to listen to all of the evidence that is going to be presented to you, because you will be using that evidence to determine the proper punishment to be assessed. You will hear the evidence in the same manner, I anticipate, had Mr. Horner pled not guilty. You may use that evidence in your determination in answering the questions that we talked about to you in the individual jury selection interviews, okay? So I just wanted to let you know you're going to hear the evidence, but you're only going to be dealing with punishment, all right? State wishes to make an opening statement.
We do, Your Honor.
Mr. Stanton.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm going to object showing evidence in opening statements.
That's overruled.
Little change of plans this morning. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is what this case is about, right here. You know, when I looked at this case, most lawyers, when they have these types of cases, they have kind of a theme of the case, something that sits with them, something that touches them here. And in this case, I looked to Paul in 2 Corinthians when he said, Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And that's what we have here. Let me tell you a little bit about what you're going to see today, what you're going to see over the next few weeks. We're going to present all the same evidence that you would have seen before in guilt. But that's going to expand it to include the punishment evidence as well. So you're going to get it all in one package. Okay? Let me tell you how this is going to begin. What we're going to start with first is we're going to introduce you to Athena, which is the most important thing, and that's the reason why we're here. So let me give you a little evidence here. Athena's last day. She was in school. She was in Miss Thompson's first grade class. She had a rough day that day, and you'll hear Miss Thompson talk about that. She's strong-willed, very precocious. She's 7. Miss Thompson's going to talk to you a little bit about that last day and tell you what went on and why that's important. You've heard that name over and over, Athena Strand. Born May 23rd, 2015. It's sad that we have to talk about a child in the past tense, who she was, what she liked, who were her friends, who were her parents. It's sad that we have to have this discussion, but that's the evidence that we have to bring you. That's the evidence that's important. Now, in this particular case, I'll tell you a little bit about this picture. Athena had just gotten back from spending some time at her mom's house in Oklahoma. 4 days before she was murdered is when that picture was taken by her mother. Now, November 30th, 2022 is a Wednesday. Kids have just gotten back from Thanksgiving break. Any of y'all have ever been in school, you know that that's a bit of a chaotic time for a teacher. They just got back, and what are they looking forward to? Christmas, right? And who's arriving for Christmas? What I like to call the modern-day Santa Claus. Amazon, right? FedEx, UPS, all of the people that we look forward to. And even us as adults, I know for me personally, I look forward to motorcycle parts. And I know my wife looks forward to things like essential oils and devotional books. I know those things. And like I said, that's why I refer to it as the modern-day Santa Claus. And I was going to try to do this without my glasses, but it is not working. So here's the way this is going to happen. When Tanner Horner rolled up that day, he rolled up alone. He rolled up bringing what we thought would be joy and happiness and a package. And you're going to see the package, and you're going to see what he was bringing. Why wouldn't Athena be happy to see the FedEx guy, right? He's got a Walmart box. Well, that's not what he brought that day. What you're going to see is that he brought violence, fear, and death. That's what he brought with him. He did not bring with him the joy and happiness that the delivery drivers normally bring. So first off, I want to apologize to y'all for what we're going to have to bring you. The evidence in this case is rough. It is not what I want to show anyone, but it's what's required. It's what's required to show you what he did. And I want to apologize to you now. We're going to do our very best to limit it, to provide you what you need. But I'm the kind of DA, I'm going to bring you all the evidence. Okay? And I feel like it's important you know the complete story. Now, we know a little bit now about Athena, and you're going to hear about her. What about Tanner Horner? Tanner Horner shows up, delivers a package, leaves with Athena. Now, I'm going to put you as close as you can be without actually being there that day. We have video of it, and we're going to show it to you. Now, you may be thinking, wow, maybe we have video of the whole thing. Nope. Somebody covered up the camera because they don't want you to see. Guess what? Audio is still running, and you're going to hear it. You're going to hear what a 250-pound man can do to a 67-pound child. And when I say it's horrible, I mean it. I've been doing this 25 years, and I promise you, buckle up. Now, the important part of this is, what's the truth? It's time to get to the truth. The only truthful thing that Tanner Horner told law enforcement was that he killed her. The pattern and web of lies that he put together, it's going to be hard for y'all to keep up with. It is lie upon lie upon lie upon lie. We have lies about what we did the day before. We have lies about what we did the day of. We have lies about where her body was. We have lies about whether or not she was clothed or not. We have lies and lies and lies. It is hard to keep up with. The only thing he told the truth about was that he killed her. So you're going to hear multiple stories. None of them are true. What's the story that was told in the beginning? That he hit her with a truck. That he somehow freaked out because he thought he was going to lose his job or she was going to tell on him. He picked her up, still freaked out, and killed her. That is an absolute lie. There is no truth to that in any form or fashion. None. Zero, zip, nada, nudge. No truth to that whatsoever. In fact, the first words out of Tanner Horner's mouth whenever the ranger first encountered him, the ranger says, "Is she alive?" And he says, "She wasn't alive when I put her in the truck." I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to see right up front here, she was very much alive and very much uninjured when he put her in the truck. Let me tell you something that stuck with me here, what you're going to hear when we get to that video. First thing Tanner Horner says to Athena when he picks her up and puts her in that truck, he leans down and he says, "Don't scream or I'll hurt you." He says that twice. You're going to hear it. We're going to put it on screen for you. That's the first thing out of his mouth. He made good on it. Now, where do we go from there? Now, you're going to be able to hear it all on audio. But I'm going to tell you right now, the one thing you're going to hear that is something that you can't unhear is the level of fight that a 7-year-old girl has when she's facing down certain death. We talk about warriors in America. I'll tell you, that little girl right there is a warrior. She fought with the strength of 100 men. Three days later, we catch up. 3 days later, it took us. What's Tanner Horner during all this time? Good question, right? What's he doing? He's delivering packages just like normal. Made it to work right on time. Made sure that he got the same FedEx truck so we could have his mobile crime scene with him the entire day. This is planning. This is preparation. He knew what was going on. He drove through the scene that day. He drove right through the scene that day. You're going to have video from his truck driving right through that scene, right where he kidnapped her, right where he took her away, and talking to people. What happened? What went on? What happened? In the same truck he killed her in. This is the level of cold-heartedness that you're going to see. Now, we finally locate her. And how do we locate her? Hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement personnel. Canines, dogs, thermal imaging. The ranger had helicopters moving 24/7 looking for her, searching for her. all believing that they were going to find her alive. Where did we find her? We found her at a place called Bobo Crossing. Now, I grew up in Wise County, and I lived not too far away from where her body was dumped. And I have no idea why they call it Bobo Crossing. I haven't found anybody who knows why they call it Bobo Crossing, but that's what they call it. It's probably got a county road number, but nobody knows what it is. People just know what this is. It's a little bit south of Boyd, off of Highway 730. We'll show you some maps. But that's where we found her. We found her where he pitched her off naked in the water. That's where we found her. How did we get to that point? Well, it wasn't without a lot of hard work by the FBI, Texas Rangers, Wise County Sheriff, deputies. We finally locate her. But how did we get to locate her? Well, Tanner Horner made it as difficult as possible to locate her. Again, with more lies upon lies upon lies. Where's her body? Where's her body? It's over here. It's over here. So on and so forth. It's just too much to keep up with, to be honest with you. So many lies. But we find her body. And you know, throughout this whole time when we're looking for the body, you know, when we ask people what happened, you know, sometimes they take responsibility. Not this guy. Every part of that, even before we found her body, is woe is me. Worried about what's going to happen to me. Worried about why I'm not going to see my kid again. Worried about me. Selfish. We haven't even found her body yet, and he's worried about that. But he's so concerned about diverting law enforcement from what's going on. So concerned from diverting law enforcement from deciphering just simply where her body is, that he conjures a whole other persona out of thin air. And all the ranger had to do is look over at him and say, hey, I want to talk to the other guy. Okay, we'll talk to the other guy, and we'll tell you what happened. But that other guy lies as much as it was before. And that's the problem with all of this. We finally find her body, and here's what you're going to see once we find her body. Now, this is where we start getting into punishment. Obviously, the judge has already talked to you about, at some point, he's going to instruct you to find him guilty in that particular case. We're going to talk to you a little bit about punishment. Now, I hadn't planned on talking about change of events. Got to switch gears. What does punishment look like? Well, we have DNA. Not only do we have initial DNA from Athena that has Tanner Horner's DNA under her fingernails, we also have DNA, Tanner Horner's DNA, in places where you shouldn't find DNA on a 7-year-old girl. We're going to take you back in time. We're going to show you what Tanner Horner did to prepare for this, covering up the camera, setting this up. And he was there 24 hours before on the same road at a different house with a different girl. It looks eerily similar to what you're going to see on Athena's video the night before. Again, preparation, planning. Okay? So, let's talk a little bit about what you may see in this particular case. We're going to show you the whole video, and we're going to show you how he did it, because I think that's important. It's an hour. It's not 5 minutes. It's an hour. And it's not just one time that he's trying to kill her. It's over and over and over again. You can hear the banging in the truck. You can hear the screams. This is what's coming. It didn't happen fast. Now, when it comes to punishment, you guys know there are two questions, right? Future danger mitigation. We talked to them ad nauseum when you guys were doing Fort Iron. I'll submit to you that the level of violence that one person can inflict on a child is important. But you're also going to hear all about this individual You're also going to hear about past and present. And I submit to you that you're also going to hear a bunch of stuff about how he's got some kind of life problems. He's got some kind of medical problems. He's got some kind of this. He's got some kind of that. I anticipate all of that coming up. I anticipate a long line of experts rolled up in here telling you just about how problematic this guy is. That's what's to be expected. It's all an excuse. Okay? It's all an excuse for somebody who's done this. So I submit to you, when we get to that, it's going to take a little bit. We're going to try to streamline it as much as we can. Okay? But it's important. I'm going to leave you with this. When we talk to people about Athena, I told you in the beginning we have to talk about her in the past tense, which is very sad. Remember why we have to talk about it in the past tense. Today, we're about a month away, a little more than a month away from Athena's birthday. She would have been 11. Would have been 11. She would have been looking forward to summertime. She would have been in the 4th grade. Key word is would. It's in the past tense, and we know why. We're ready to present this case to you. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Judge?
Mr. Goble, would you make it open? I'm sorry?
We wish to make it open, Your
Okay,
Honor.
Mr. Goble?
Please, court.
Yes, sir.
Sarah, you can leave it on the easel.
Morning. About this time last year, in the NBA playoffs, there was a player named Tyrese Halliburton. He played for the Indiana Pacers, and they were ranked like 4th in the East, something like that. But he led that team to the finals against the best team in the league, the Oklahoma City Thunder. He got him all the way to Game 7. But he was injured. If someone's physically injured, you can see it. You can see him limp. Maybe he had a calf injury. Gets to that Game 7, starts out hot, hits 3 3-pointers, they're winning. He's in the game, they're winning. He's out of the game, they're losing. And then his Achilles snaps. I don't know if you've seen that before, but that's a very visible injury. You can see that tendon go up under the skin. You can see him hit the ground, pound on it, pain and frustration, and you know he's done. Not playing anymore. When someone has a physical injury, we kind of understand. You're not going to run as fast if you're an amputee. You're not going to jump as high. We knew he was playing hurt, but still wanted to play through it. Still wanted him to win, right? Once that snaps, you know he's done. He's not going to play anymore. I like to say we understand. If you wanted him to win, you're still not happy about it. When someone's brain is what's injured, you don't see it. It's not visible at a glance. We don't treat it the same. We want people to push through it. We want them to be okay. We're talking about a developmental issue, talking about a mental illness, brain damage. Well, you should outgrow that. Everybody's sad sometimes. You got strength. You just use your strength to make up for the deficit. A bone that's 99% unbroken is still a broken bone. It's not going to support the weight. It's not going to do its job. There are experts that can tell you, measure, testing, research, what's wrong with the brain, why it's not functioning the way you expect it to. They can show you causal links between what's wrong with the brain and how someone behaves, why they don't fit in, why they don't function the way someone who doesn't have those deficits functions. Do we really need that? It's not true that we don't know when something's wrong with someone. You know that someone ain't right. They don't pick up on the social cues. They can't solve the problems they should be able to solve with the intelligence they have. They can't put themselves in someone else's shoes the way everyone else does. The way you act. Tanner's injury actually began before he was born. His mother, God bless her, Melissa Horner, was working as a stripper when she was pregnant. And one of the ways she was able to get on stage and do her job was to drink alcohol. If you're exposed to alcohol prenatally before you're born, it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be in the first trimester. We know now that if it's just on the wrong days of gestation, it will cause permanent injuries. Now, Melissa continued throughout Tanner's life to this day to have issues with substance abuse and with the law. So she was not there for him a lot. Kind of in and out of her hair. His dad, unfortunately, had similar issues, more legal, more substance abuse, and he wasn't there much either. So he was raised by Jackie Harbison. Jackie is a wonderful grandmother, and she's done the best she can with him. She had him tested at a young age, and the school determined he had Asperger's, which is now considered a form of autism spectrum disorder. Now, autism ranges from just some mild quirks, some social issues, things like that, all the way to being unable to function. That's why they call it a spectrum. Tanner received services throughout his school life until he was 18. Autism is one of those things, though, that you're taught skills to deal with. It doesn't go away. It's not something you outgrow. A lot of people, as they get to adulthood, they learn skills and are able to cope. You're going to hear evidence about Tanner's autism. Tanner, unfortunately, has also suffered various mental illnesses throughout his life. Been diagnosed, he's received treatment for, and some of those are ongoing. You will hear about those and what issues he has there. And finally, you will hear evidence that Tanner at some point, presumably during his developmental years, was exposed to a massive amount of lead. Testing shows that he has 24 times the amount of lead that a person his age should have in his bones. You don't have to be a scientist or a doctor to know that lead has terrible effects on the brain and on the body. Why does this matter? Well, remember back in the beginning when we were in the group, the judge told you, the state told you, the defense told you how important the presumption of innocence is. How important the state's burden of proof is. They have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Tanner has done what he can today by pleading guilty, accepting that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Now, I understand I have a different perspective on this because I've represented a lot of defendants who won't do that. The evidence is overwhelming. The state said it's terrible. I hate that we all have to sit through it together. But all across America today, there are defendants that are relying on that presumption of innocence and that burden of proof in their cases to try to get a non-guilty verdict, no matter how the evidence is stacked against them. You even heard in that group 4 years that we did that the state suggested we might try to get a non-capital verdict in this case, unless we included defense. And we're not doing any of that. So where does that lead you? We already talked about it. That's why we spent the time in individual board hour going over everything. You've taken that oath now, that second oath we talked about, to follow the law. And the law in Texas never requires a death penalty. The law in Texas is always satisfied with life without parole.
Objection, argument, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Life without parole is a terrible punishment. You are being asked to use your personal moral judgment to apply that special issue number 1 to the evidence that you do here. It's going to take a while. It'll be from both sides. So remember, that's whether there's a probability that the defendant will commit criminal acts of violence that constitute a continuing threat to society. We believe when you've heard the evidence, you'll realize that the type of damage that Tanner has to his brain actually makes him a good candidate for structure and rules. It's probably what he's always needed. And when he goes to prison, he will be under threat. He will not be the one threatening you. If you find beyond a reasonable doubt that he is a continuing threat to society, then you'll use your personal moral judgment to consider that second question. Whether or not there's a sufficient mitigating circumstance or circumstances to warrant a life sentence instead of a death sentence. We talked about that already too. What is a sufficient mitigating circumstance from the evidence? It's whatever you find sufficient to justify a life sentence. Remember, you don't have to agree on why he isn't a continuing threat to society, and you don't have to agree on what a mitigating circumstance is. When you do see this evidence, the break is obvious. The only way to ignore that damage came, and that break came from the damage that was already there, is just like with Halliburton. If you ignore that his calf was already injured, that's how an Achilles tendon snaps. We still expected him to push through and win. We still expected Tanner to push through and be a father and be a productive citizen and be all the things that we wanted him to be. But he just didn't do it. So what I'm asking you to do is to not close your eyes to what you see about who Tanner is and how that applies to the special issues. Not close your ears and not listen, not pretend that damage to the brain isn't real. Speak up. Fulfill your oath. Sentence him to life without parole.
Lindsey Thompson.
Lindsey Thompson. Ms. Thompson, come right here, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have a seat. You raise your right hand for me. Solemnly swear or affirm testimony given this cause to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay. There's a rule of evidence in effect that says you cannot be in court unless you're testifying. And once you have testified, do not discuss your testimony with anybody else except the lawyers, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Staten?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Thompson, would you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court?
Yes, my name is Lindsey Thompson, Lindsey, Thompson, Thompson.
Ms. Thompson, I noticed you're wearing a green jacket there that has an emblem on it. What's that for?
I am a first grade teacher at Paradise Elementary in Paradise ISD.
Can you tell us a little bit about where Paradise is located?
Paradise is about 40 miles northwest of Fort Worth. A very small town, population under 1,000. Very small schools, one stoplight. Your typical small town.
And tell me about Paradise ISD. How many kids do they have, and what size school is it?
UIL classifies us as a 3A district. We have about 100 students per grade level, give or take a little bit.
And you said you're a first grade teacher?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a first grade teacher?
I have been at Paradise ISD this is my 7th year, and prior to that I was in another district for 5 years teaching first grade.
So you're kind of a permanent first grade teacher.
Yes, I do love first grade.
So in your class, in Ms. Thompson's class, on average, about how many kids do you have in the class?
Between 18 and 20.
Now, let's take you back a little bit, if you will, back to it's been a few years, to the 2022 school year, okay? Were you teaching first grade then?
Yes, I was.
And did you have the same 18 to 20 kids?
Yes, I did.
Now, during that school year, did you have a chance to have a student in your class by the name of Athena Strand?
I did.
And tell me, when did she come to your class?
The first time I met Athena was at Meet the Teacher night. Her stepmom brought her in, and I vividly remember her coming in. She had all of her supplies. She was so excited about being at school. I can just still remember her just standing there, just excited to be there. And that was the first time that I met Athena.
And tell us a little bit about what kind of student was she?
I adored Athena. She was so much fun. She was a free spirit. She loved drawing. She loved to write. She loved to color. She was just your typical, 7-year-old little girl that just loved life. She would come in with, stickers on her hands. She loved to dress up. Like, she truly was a free spirit. Like, there's no other word to describe her. Like, she definitely was a true gem.
I'm going to bet when you say free spirit, is that kind of a nice way of saying that she might have been a little more enthusiastic in your class than some other kids?
Yes. She's one that would stand up for herself, and she would speak her mind when she wanted to. She loved to talk and socialize with her friends, but that's just who made her who she was.
So let me ask you, how long, you said it was Meet the Teacher night. Well, when does Meet the Teacher night normally happen?
In August, like about the week before school starts.
And then she was in your class through when?
November 30th, 2022.
Now, just so that we're clear, can you describe her physically for the jury?
Yes, she was thin and petite. She had blonde hair that sometimes she'd wear up, but most of the time it was down, wavy. She had perfect color skin, but she was always smiling.
Judge Matt?
Yes.
I showed you 2 pictures. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
And these are states 1 and 2. Who is that in those pictures?
And that is Athena Strand.
Is that what she looked like the last time you saw her?
Yes.
It was actually in states 1 and 2.
Have you seen it tender to
Oh, I'm
defense?
sorry. You did the picture.
Tender to defense?
Oh.
How old would you drive?
Sure.
I thought we had it on drive. I'm sorry.
Okay.
States exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted.
We published 1 and 2?
Yes. Can all of the members of the jury see the
Oh,
display
yes.
board?
Sorry.
No. Can all the members see the display board? Okay.
All right, well, when the computer figures itself out, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right? Let me go. So let me ask you, let me take you to November of 2022 in any given school year. What is going on in November of 22 in any given school year in Ms. Thompson's first grade class?
Well, at the end of November, we are getting ready for Christmas, so it's a little bit chaotic, but everyone is super excited about Christmas coming, so we're doing Christmas crafts, writing Santa letters, just all the fun things that bring magic to first graders back at school.
You said that's at the end, right? Do you have some type of Thanksgiving break in the middle?
We do, yes.
And so let me take you to November of 2022. Do you remember when Thanksgiving break was that year?
It would have been the week before November 30th.
Okay. So let's talk about a couple of things. Thanksgiving break, obviously good for students and teachers, right? Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, what is it like when kids come back from that Thanksgiving break?
It's a little bit chaotic, just because they know Christmas is coming. So they're just super excited. And so we, do lots of different activities to keep them engaged and still, ready to learn. Yes.
You said that after Thanksgiving break is we start looking towards Christmas. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you about another time during school, and it's something that is commonly called Red Ribbon Week. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Tell us what Red Ribbon Week is.
Red Ribbon Week is a week where it usually falls around Halloween, but we focus on making good choices, whether it be who we interact with, things we put in our body. It's, like I said, it's around Halloween, so we talk a lot about, the candy that you have in your basket, make sure that your parent checks that before, but it's really just about safety and being aware of your surroundings and teaching kids that.
I'm going to show you states that did it too. Tell me what you notice about that picture.
She is wearing her Hocus Pocus shirt, and she did love Halloween and love dressing up.
So, was Athena in your class after you come back from Thanksgiving break?
She was.
And doing those activities you talked about?
Yes.
And was she there during Red Ribbon Week that year?
Yes, she was. Four. Do you recognize that? Yes, I do.
And what is that?
That is a journal entry from Athena's journal.
And how do you know that's from Athena's journal?
The following day after she was found, I looked in her journal at school, and this was the last entry in her journal.
And you recognize that as her journal?
Yes, it is.
Just read out to Mid-States 4.
And then this one will object hearsay, relevance, or prejudicial and probative and due process.
Objections overruled. State's Exhibit 4 is admitted.
Ms. Thompson, you said something about you knew when exactly that you noticed this in her journal. When exactly was that?
It would have been on December 1st, 2022.
And we know Athena was murdered on November 30th.
Yes.
What day was that you found that?
It was Saturday, December 1st.
So at that point, we hadn't found her yet, had we?
No, sorry. It was on Saturday, December 2nd.
December 2nd?
Yes, sorry.
And so have we found her body by that time?
Yes.
Okay, and you're up at school and you're looking?
Yes.
And in that particular journal week, you said that, is that during Red Ribbon Week?
Yes, that was something we wrote during Red Ribbon Week.
And I'm not going to have you read it exactly, but what is Athena learning in that journal entry that day?
She is learning to stay away from strangers.
Stranger danger.
Yes.
And as part of her schoolwork and stuff during that week in that journal entry, what's going on during that? What are the students learning about?
They are learning about just staying safe, whether it be with interaction with other people or things that they're putting into their bodies. Just learning how to be safe as a child.
Part of that would be staying away from strangers.
Yes.
Or people that children know are strangers.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to take you to the the end of November, on Monday, November 28th.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in school that day?
Yes.
Was Athena in school that day?
Yes, she was.
I think you talked a minute ago how you guys were doing Christmas stuff.
Yes.
How far away from Christmas break was that?
About 3 weeks.
Judge, can we publish dates for?
Sure.
Is this what you were talking about before?
Yes.
Is her writing?
Yes.
And that was the last writing she had in your class?
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that last week. Okay. So Monday is the 28th,
Yes.
and I'm going to take you to that Wednesday, November 30th. Was Athena also in your class that day?
She was.
Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of things here, and just to verify this. When we show you State's Exhibit 1, that picture of her, or States 2 in her Hocus Pocus, is that what she looked like on that day?
Yes.
And when I tell you, and I use the term mandatory reporter, do you know what that means?
I do.
What does that mean?
That means as a teacher, I'm required to notify CPS if I have any concerns of neglect or harm.
And in this particular case, when we see those pictures of Athena that you had, is that what she looked like?
Yes.
Did she have any bruises or other injuries on her?
No,
back?
she did not.
No? And I didn't tell you this in the beginning, but she's taken all this stuff down. So when I ask a question,
Okay.
then you answer.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
I didn't mention that before.
Okay.
All right. So let's take you to that Wednesday. She's in your class, and anything go on that day that was unusual or out of the ordinary?
No, I mean, it was a typical, middle of the week. Like I have talked about before, it was, right before Christmas. So everything was a little bit chaotic. As teachers, we have to really make sure our classroom management is strong during that time. Athena, that particular day, she was talking a lot and, just being a kid. And so I did have to write in her binder that afternoon just to let, parents know that she did have a little bit of a struggle that day.
So a little bit of a rough day for Athena that
Yes, yes.
Let me show you, what we marked as States 3. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, that is a writing that Athena did from the first week of school. We read a story about being a good listener, and then the students responded by how they can be a good listener.
All right. And is there a picture on that?
Yes, there is.
And did you take that picture?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you create this for their class?
Yes.
Judge, we'd ask if it's States 3.
We understand objections, hearsay, relevance, more prejudicial, probative, and due process.
Those objections are overruled. States 3 is admitted.
Ms. Thompson, when did you say that picture was taken?
That picture was taken on the first day of school.
And we know, when was her last day of school?
November 30th, 2022.
And you said she had a bit of a rough day, a little bit too much talking.
Yes,
Did you have to be a teacher?
I did.
And when you say you write in somebody's binder, for a first grader, is that a pretty big deal?
Yes. I mean, for the most part, yes, but just to let parents know kind of like what happened at school and, just kind of give them an idea of what's happening in the classroom.
When Athena left school that day, what time does school normally let out?
3:25.
And let me just ask you this. What did you say to Athena when she left for school that day, leaving school that day?
I gave her a hug, and I told her, I love you, and we will have a better day tomorrow.
Did you have it tomorrow?
I did not.
When's the next day back at school?
It would have been Thursday.
Athena's not in your class, is she?
She is not.
What about Friday?
She's not in my class.
And part of this is, I'm going to ask you, what was going on in your class? How did that affect your class for those 2 days with her missing?
It was very hard. A lot of kids, some knew that something was not right, but everyone knew she was not there. I was still having to count her absent. A lot of kids, you could tell their anxiety, like they were worried. They knew something was wrong. Her desk was empty. But it was a very hard 2 days in the classroom.
So now we roll to Saturday. You said that's when you found out?
I found out Friday evening.
Friday evening, the 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Let's move forward to Monday. You go back to school Monday?
Yes.
How do you go back to school on Monday after that?
Because I knew that the rest of my class needed their teacher. And they needed someone to love them and support them and help them walk through this.
So what's happening in the school that day, that Monday?
We have a crisis team, which includes local counselors within our district, people from local churches. They come in to talk and support kids. We read off a script of letting them know that their classmate is no longer there. We do activities to try to help them begin the grieving process. There's just a lot going on, like just trying to help kids cope and learn. Like this is a big thing for them at 6 and 7 years old to have to walk through. And so there's just a lot of counseling, guidance, and support that is happening.
And at this point,
You need to take a break. How much longer do you anticipate with this?
a little bit.
Okay. All right, let's take our morning break. We will we'll come back at 20 minutes to 11, okay? 15 minutes, all right? See you then. All right, everyone may be seated. We are ready to proceed, Mr. State.
Thank you, Your Honor. So when we left off, we were talking a little bit about your classroom that Monday and what's going on. And you talked about we have counselors there, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And what was going on with the kids in your classroom that day?
They were very confused. As 6 and 7 year olds, they have a really hard time understanding the loss of a friend. We did a lot of grief groups. We read stories, just trying to help them start that grieving and healing process.
And in this particular situation, are they aware of what had happened to her?
Yes, they were.
So they know that she was taken against her will and murdered.
Yes.
And these kids are how old?
6 and 7.
Let's talk about you. You've been teaching how many years total now?
This is my 12th year.
And how does it affect you as a teacher?
When I look at my life and career, I have before Athena and I have after, and it looks very different.
How so?
Every day I hug my kids as they walk out the door and tell them that they love them. But now every day when I do that, and for the rest of my teaching career, I have to think about what if they do not come back tomorrow.
So we are now approaching 4 years out?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Is this still affecting those kids?
Yes.
How so?
There are several of those students who they are now in 4th grade, and there are several that are still having outside counselors. Several students that are afraid to sleep in their own bed, will not play in their front yard.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Sustained.
Can't talk about things that you've been told by other people.
Yes.
Would you say this has had a big effect on these kids?
Yes.
Would you say that it's a lingering effect that's continued all the way to the 4th grade?
Yes.
Last thing I'm going to talk with you about here is tell me about the mailbox.
So, when Athena passed, we wanted to do something for our students so they could learn how to grieve. And so we had a mailbox made that was placed outside of our classroom.
And let me stop you right there. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Yes.
This mailbox.
Yes.
Who made this mailbox?
My husband and I did.
And was it only in your classroom, or was it?
It was between 2 first grade classrooms in the hallway.
And when we say mailbox, I want to make sure I understand what we're talking about. Would this be a normal, like we would see mailbox?
Yes, on a stand, yes.
And was that your idea to have this mailbox?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of you putting this mailbox or bringing it to the children? What was the purpose?
I wanted them to have the opportunity to write letters to Athena to help process.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Overruled.
To help process, and they would write, draw pictures, whatever they were feeling, and they would place in that mailbox.
And again, like I said, I'm not going to ask you what any of them said, so to speak. So you're saying the purpose was for these kids to be able to express themselves by writing or coloring and put in that mailbox.
Yes.
And so that mailbox, when did it arrive in between the 2 first grade classrooms?
The day that we returned to school, so that Monday.
And did you get some letters in it?
A lot, from all grade levels.
So did the mailbox stay there or in your classroom? Where did it end up?
We eventually moved it inside the classroom, but it began to get too much for the kids. They would tell me when they saw that, it made them think of Athena and what happened to her. And so we had to remove it out of the classroom.
And so how long did this mailbox, was it a fixture in the school?
For the remainder of the year, we moved it up to the front office, and kids still continue to put things in there, but it was in a different location in the office.
How many letters do you think you got in that mailbox?
Oh, over 100.
And just a little bit of it in the school before it let out?
Yes.
When we talk about you, you said that you've had some struggles as a teacher.
Yes.
Have you had any struggles as a person?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I have been through hours of therapy, trying to heal from this. I have lost 2 other students back to back with this tragedy, but this has hit me the hardest. It has forever changed my life, forever changed how I teach my kids. one of the biggest moments of struggle for me was one day I had a little girl. She came out into the hall. This was about 3 months after everything. And she was crying. And she sat down and she said, "Miss Thompson, I really miss Athena, but I'm afraid that this is going to happen to me too." And at that moment, I did not know.
Stay.
It affected your kids.
It did. It did. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Pass it with us.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming in today, Ms. Thompson. My name is Steve Goebel. I'm the attorney for Tanner Horner. I just have a couple of quick questions. On that state's exhibit number 4, the journal entry,
Yes.
the date on the top of that was October 27th, 2022.
Yes.
And what day did you say that was turned in?
I opened up her journal on December 2nd, and that was the day that I saw it. Yes.
So was that something they wrote in daily or weekly? Or?
It was weekly. Between like October and then December, we do a lot of writing outside of our journal, so that's why there was nothing in there after that.
And I think you, either today or previously, had described Athena as being very friendly,
Yes.
very kind of talkative.
Yes.
Was there a story too that she maybe had befriended a new student?
She had.
Could
Yes.
you tell us about that?
We had a student that came in to our classroom, and he had some needs that needed to be met, and she opened her arms to him. She played with him on the playground. Like, she just had a big heart, and that's just who she was.
Thank you for testifying.
Yes. Thank you.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be finally excused.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. Who do you have next?
Elizabeth Ashley Strand.
Elizabeth Strand.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Strand, I want to hand you what has been marked as defense exhibits number 1 through 5. If you take a look at those, please.
Yes.
And do you recognize defense exhibits number 1 through 5?
Yes.
And what do you recognize them to be?
The property.
And this is the property that you were living on at the time of Athena's disappearance?
Yes.
Defense offers defense exhibits 1 through 5?
Have you shown them to the
Yes.
state?
I will show them again.
State objections on development, Your Honor.
Okay. The objection is overruled and defense exhibits 1 through 5 are admitted.
And Your Honor, for the purposes of the record, we had a printing issue, so the defense exhibits number 1 through 5 that I've shown Ms. Strand and that she has identified are in black and white. However, we do have the originals in color that we would like to publish to the jury.
That's fine. When you get ready to substitute, we can make sure the record is clear as to the new exhibits.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm having technical difficulties.
Take your time. I think the power cord may have come loose just to be on the safe side.
Thank you.
Ms. Strand, what do you recognize Defense Exhibit 1 to be?
That's the abandoned trailer.
In this photo, on the right-hand side, about halfway down, is that where the box was left?
Yes.
And on Defense Exhibit number 2, what is this?
That is also the abandoned trailer.
And this is, were people living in the trailer at the time?
No.
Where were they living?
There's a house in the back that we were living in.
And is that the house that y'all were renovating?
Yes.
Defense Exhibit number 3, what is that?
The dog pen in the pool.
Okay. And this is still on the property?
Still the same property.
Defense Exhibit number 4, what do you recognize this to be?
Still the property. It's the outdoor shower.
Was there running water in the house?
Yes.
Were there, why an outdoor shower?
Well, we were in transition, trying to get it just finished and ready, and that's, yeah.
And lastly, Defense Exhibit number 5, what do you recognize this to be?
That's the girls' room.
Can you see the girls' room from the main house?
Yes.
And can you see the girls' room from the kitchen where you were preparing dinner?
If you peek through the window, yes.
From the kitchen where you were preparing dinner, would you have been able to see the delivery truck drive up?
No.
On that day, or let me back up, these photos are an accurate representation of your property on that day?
Yes.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect.
None further, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused subject to any potential recall?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Your Honor, would you consider a quick break?
Okay. Give us about 10 minutes, and we'll call you right back in. Your lunch should be here about 12:30, so we're going to work up until that point, okay? 10 minutes, everybody, 5 till 12. All right, everyone may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, this witness has been previously sworn to testify truthfully. Mr. Stingman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, would you state your name for the jury, please?
Lane Aiken.
And when were you the sheriff of Wise County?
I was sheriff in Wise County from 2016 through December 31st, 2024 at 4:30 p.m.
Sheriff, could you check to see if that microphone's turned on? You're going to have to speak up.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, you have your marching orders now. Lane, were you sheriff back in November of 2022?
Yes, sir, I was.
To refer for these questions, I'm going to refer to you as sheriff. You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
So during this time before you were the sheriff of Wise County in 2016, were you also in law enforcement at some point in your career?
Yes, my career in law enforcement started in 1974.
And so from 1974 till you retired in the end of 2024,
Yes, sir.
you maintained a peace officer license in Texas?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to fast forward you here a little bit. And at some point, were you promoted and made a Texas Ranger?
Yes, sir. That
When was
was in 1987 at November 13th, 1987.
I notice you remember that day.
Yes. It was cold.
And at that point, how long did you serve the state of Texas as a Texas Ranger?
It was 16 years as a Texas Ranger, 16 and a half.
And did you retire at some point from being a Ranger?
In 2003.
Now, during your career, and just so we know a little bit about your experiences, did you have any big cases that you handled being a Ranger?
Yes, sir. There were several.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, were you not at the Branch Davidian compound in Lake
Objection, Your
Texas?
Honor, relevance.
Sustained. Hang on just a minute, we got the microphone. Excuse me, sir.
Well, good.
Yes.
And during your time as a Ranger, did you ever have a chance to have any training experience in missing persons?
Yes, sir, we did.
And so when you started being sheriff in 2016, did you go directly from being a ranger to being a sheriff? I noticed there's a little gap in the middle. What were you doing in that gap?
Well, there was a part of my career that I was an enforcement captain for the sheriff's office, but I also worked for AT&T for 10 years on and off. But during that time, I was also a reserve for the Rangers as well as for the sheriff's office.
So you got back to being a sheriff back in 2016.
Yes, sir.
All right, and let's just talk just a little small amount about missing persons. In your time as the sheriff in Wise County, did you ever have a chance to be a part of any investigations where a child had gone missing?
Yes, sir. We've done that several times, and even so when I was a highway patrolman and as a Texas Ranger.
And based on your training experience, what's the most likely scenario when a child has gone missing for a short amount of time?
Well, that child's going to be at home, close to home, under the house, under a bed, just any number of things. It's always, most always, it was some good news that we could find that child.
All right. And did that happen from time to time in Wise County as well?
Yes.
And then, if the child is not found soon, in a short amount of time, what's the most likely result of that?
Well, anytime we have a situation where a child is missing, we spend a lot of time right there with the family looking. We're looking, and we've got a lot of folks who come and help, especially with now that we have the internet that can bring people together to look for these folks. So usually we spend a lot of time with the parents and the family. But as time goes on, you realize, because it starts out, you're doing the search. The search is right here. Everybody's focused on searching. But then as time goes on, we're not finding that child, especially if it's cold outside, any other difficulties there are. So the investigation starts right here, down here. And as time goes on, that investigation increases, because you know that we've got a problem, because this child is lost or is missing. And it's the worst thing that you would think might happen, but that someone has taken that child.
So I'm going to take you back to November of 2022. When did you first hear the name Athena Strand?
That was probably about 7 o'clock on the night of November 30th.
All right. And as sheriff of Wise County, is that where Athena went missing in the Cottondale Paradise area, is that covered by the sheriff's office at that time?
Yes, sir.
And we have other places in the county, cities and other things that would be covered by police departments, but this was covered by the sheriff's office.
Yes, it's the rural part of Wise County.
And so at 7 p.m., you hear about Athena Strand. What does the sheriff do as an initial response at this time?
Well, I was on my way back from Austin, and my intent was to stay over in Llano, because I was thinking it was the same thing, just a missing child, going to find her under the bed, in the closet, playing with a friend. So I kept contact with the the Sheriff's Office dispatch. And when I found out that she hadn't been found within a 2-hour span, then I drove from Llano back to Wise County.
And during the entirety of this investigation, were you pretty much on scene during all of this investigation?
Yes, sir.
And I want to give the jury a big judgment.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you some maps here, states exhibits 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Yes, sir. You recognize those?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And can you give the jury a general idea? What are we looking at here?
These are the photographs regarding the mapping and the roadways right close to 3573 in that area of Cottondale.
All right. And are you familiar with this area during your time as sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you believe these maps accurately represent the surrounding roads and cities, towns, and things in that area?
Yes, sir, that is accurate.
And is this the area in which Athena Strand went missing?
It is.
Judge, we'd have to ask to advance 24 through 23, excuse me, through 27.
Any objection?
States exhibits 23 through 27 are admitted.
Sheriff, I'm not going to get too deep into this. We've got a little information already. Let me show you 23.
Yes, sir.
And
Can you just give us an idea in from where we are right here today in the courthouse, where Cottondale Paradise is, in reference to where we are in Tarrant County?
Well, it's northwest of here, probably by road. I would think it's about 35 miles from here to there.
In this area that we're talking about, Cottondale Paradise, is that urban or rural?
That's rural.
Okay. So would I be right to assume it's Post Oaks and Mesquites?
Yes, and Cedar.
Cedar, okay. Now, on this particular location here, as we go between the towns of Cottondale and Paradise, what's the primary road that one would use to go between Cottondale and Paradise?
2123.
Okay. And is that a farm to market or a county road?
It's a farm to market.
Okay. And let me show you. Do you see that road on this map here, Sheriff?
Yes, sir, I think I do.
Okay. Is that the road going east and west there, the main road?
2123?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And just to fast forward a little bit, is Athena Strand's residence off of 2123?
Yes, sir, just to the north.
Okay. And do you know what county road that's on?
3573.
All right. And let me ask you a few questions about the scene on 3573. Was that part of your job to coordinate and set up the search for Athena Strand?
Yes, sir. It was it being sheriff. Basically, the sheriff is in charge, but we bring in folks from so many other agencies to help us in that search.
So let me ask you. Let me just start from the very beginning. Once that she is not found in a short time period, what assets do you as the sheriff bring to bear to help find her at that time?
Well, the sheriff's office responded. Of course, we called in the Texas Rangers because we find that it's important that we use all the agencies that we can. We have the game wardens that were there, and they're always great. Fort Worth PD, they sent a helicopter or two. We also had some drones that came in from Denton County. And Highway Patrol, we had many of them there, as well as the voluntary fire departments. So we're bringing all the first responders that we can find, we're bringing them to help us find this child.
All right. And now it sounds like what you're talking about, most of those are sworn personnel, is what you described.
Yes.
Was there anybody else assisting in this search besides just the sworn personnel?
I'll never forget the morning of December 1st. Citizens came from all parts of Wise County to help us find that child. And we put them to work with our deputies, with our investigators, with the game wardens. It was shoulder to shoulder. We had what we estimated was about 300 citizens, and they brought their four-wheelers. Some brought horses, some brought dogs. It was I appreciate the fact that so many people came out there to help us that day.
So we have all these people out there. We have a mixture of sworn personnel. We have a mixture of citizens out helping.
Yes, sir.
And were you on that scene frequently?
Yes.
And on that particular scene, where was kind of the gathering area for that on that scene?
At first, it was right at the gate for Athena's house where she was living. But as time went on, we moved it over to Cottondale to the firehouse there, the volunteer fire department.
Let's stay focused on 3573 here for a minute.
Okay.
Are you familiar with what the scene looked like at that time?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with where you had your own sheriff's assets placed at that time?
Yes, sir.
And then up and down the road, are you familiar with what it looked like on that December 1st that you just talked about?
Yes.
And if we were to look down this road, if we were to go back to December 1st and look down this road, what would we see as we were driving in to Athena's road?
We would be seeing those citizens in their vehicles that I was just talking about.
And will we also see any sworn personnel or those types of vehicles?
There are some, but really we were overshadowed by the number of citizens who came to help.
Do you have a number of how many citizens you believe were out there helping?
Well, we had the EMC helping us, emergency guy, Cody Powell, and he numbered 300.
These are just citizens?
Yes.
In addition to your law?
Those who actually registered, because some came on without registering. So 300.
So let me just go through here, and I want to show you some pictures here, so we'll get a little bit of an idea of the scene. I'm going to show you, Judge, if I may. States 13 through 21. And I think you've looked at these before, but can you give us an idea of generally what we're seeing in those pictures?
Yes, sir. These look like that's the route on 2123 turning into 3573, and looking at it, it looks like it's the morning of December 1st, 2022. And what we see are the vehicles of so many citizens who came and helped. And you see from time to time a marked unit of ours at the sheriff's office, as well as from other agencies. And we see the search people. There's some organized searchers, all the way to the end of that road that went to a cul-de-sac. And that's pretty much it.
And do you recognize those pictures as being descriptive of what you saw on that day, December 1st, 2022?
Yes, sir, I do.
State's Exhibits 13 through 21.
Do you have any objections other than those previously made known to the court?
No, Your Honor, no further objections.
All right, those objections remain overruled. The State's Exhibits 13 through 21 are admitted.
Sheriff, I'm just going to, you said there were some things about marked units.
Yes.
Is that what we see here in State 17?
Yes, that's the unit of one of our Wise County deputies.
Okay. And is that the entrance to 3573?
Yes, sir, from 2123.
Let me show you 18 and 19. Let me just stop you right there. Do you recognize this as what you were talking about earlier?
Yes, that's the entrance to the Strand home, and that's where we kind of set up our command post.
And is that what you were describing to me as the people out there helping?
Yes.
And are these the vehicles that you're talking about here as well?
Yes, sir, they are.
And I notice on States 21 here, Is this the same entrance to Athena's house?
I think that is probably just a little bit beyond that, but it's close.
Okay. And I noticed what appears to be porta potties out here.
Mm-hmm.
Is this was required for the amount of people that you had?
It was, and those were donated, people to help.
So this search is ongoing from November 30th. This is on the 1st.
Yes, sir.
When does the search end?
It never ended.
Well, let me ask you. At some point, were we able to locate Athena Strand's body?
We were, yes, sir.
And at that point, did then the sheriff's search for her as a missing person end?
Yes, sir. At that point, that's when the search for Athena stopped.
Now, as part of the search and what's going on, did you approve and put out a missing persons bulletin through the Texas Fusion Center?
There was one, and I approved it.
Let me show you what's been marked. The state's 22. Do you recognize this?
Yes, sir, I do.
And is that what we just talked about, being
Yes.
in the missing persons report?
Yes, sir.
That you approve?
Yes.
And what types of things that are usually contained in a missing persons bulletin?
Well, it's when last seen, what she was wearing, and what she looks like, age, pictures if possible, and I think that other than that, then locations.
All right. And this would this be something that went out to law enforcement or to everybody?
That went out to law enforcement originally.
And do you recognize this as what you approve?
Yes, sir.
They would offer State's Exhibit 22.
Your Honor, we'd object. It is hearsay and is not covered by the exception of 803.8C. It was created by law enforcement, for law enforcement, and we would object under hearsay.
That objection's overruled. State's Exhibit 22 is admitted. 22, correct, Mr. State?
22, yes, Your
Okay.
Honor. Actually, that'll be sure. Okay. And so that goes out to law enforcement. Are you aware of how it goes out? Is it electronic? Is there a bulletin? How does it go out?
It was an information bulletin that was sent out from Austin to all the agencies in Texas, and generally the states that are adjacent to Texas.
So as the sun sets, if you will, on December 1st, have we located Athena's body as the sun sets on December 1st?
We had not.
And I think you mentioned before, the search continues and all the assets are still in play at that time.
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned that you involved the Texas Rangers,
Yes, sir.
your old employer.
Yes, sir.
And who was the lead ranger working on this case?
Job Espinoza.
Okay. When we say Job, is that like the Book of Job?
Yes, J-O-B.
And then you said there was some assets from the FBI as well. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then I think you also said that you had game wardens and a host of others.
Yes.
Now, while law enforcement and your people and all these assets are actively searching, what else is the sheriff's office and law enforcement doing to locate Athena Strand?
We were still staying, it was just right there around that area. We were looking hard. We started looking at all the waterways in and around where we were right there in Cottondale. We were using still aircraft as well as the drones that helped, and they were remarkable. But as hard as we were looking, we weren't finding her.
All right. And at this point, are y'all investigating and looking into the thought that this may have been some form of abduction and not a missing child?
Well, at that point, it seems like it had come down to searching. We're still searching, but we don't have as many people focused on that as we do have people focusing on the investigation. So it's about half and half And as time goes on, the investigation scale goes higher.
Right, so at some point, it transitions to a criminal investigation versus a missing person.
Yes, sir.
And at that point in time, who was working the criminal leads and the criminal investigation at that time while the rest of the assets were searched?
We had, the FBI were there, and they were helping tremendously with their digital evidence that they were able to bring forth, as well as the Texas Rangers and our investigators from the Wise County Sheriff's Office working hand in hand as we looked and trying to find what happened, where is Athena. So we got to the point that we just slowed down the investigation, not the investigation, but the search, and we just really moved up on the investigation.
And what kinds of things are you looking for when you're now transitioning this for potentially a missing person to some form of criminal investigation?
Well, an investigation, it takes a while, but we had some information that came in, and it gave us a different direction. And I'll give the credit for the Rangers who recognized that there was a package that was delivered, and that we should be aware that driver pulled in there about the same time that she went missing.
All right. And so that's what we would call a different kind of lead, if you will.
Yes.
And who was primarily working that lead of that investigation?
That would have been a couple of my investigators, as well as Job, and also the FBI people were involved in that as well.
So let's move to, like I said, the sun is set on December 1st. The sun rises on December 2nd. And you mentioned that we located a package that was delivered.
Yes.
And that the Ranger and FBI are working on that.
Yes.
So when the sun rises, what is the Sheriff's Office still doing now? We're on day 3 of the search.
The investigation is picking up and moving more quickly, trying to find as much information as we can. We set up a new command post at the firefight, the FD, right there in Cottondale. FBI brought in a big truck in their RV, actually. We started looking at things, and we had a meeting on that morning. And that meeting was in the Baptist church there in Cottondale. So there were, I don't know, probably 30, 35 investigators, as well as some of the deputies who were there as we were looking at all the leads that we had. FBI, Texas Rangers, and all of our people, as well as other agencies who were coming in there helping us with that. And we had new direction, more so than we had before, and we felt as though we're going to be able to get this thing solved on that day.
All right. So let me ask you, who was able to locate Tanner Horner as the operator of the FedEx vehicle that day?
I know that Job, Ranger Espinoza, I know that he was...
Your Honor, I'll object to anything that Ranger Espinoza said.
You did not testify to anything that anybody told you, Sheriff, but you may testify as to who was there.
Yes, so it was the FBI and the Texas Rangers, as well as some of our investigations, tracked that down and found out who that driver was.
Objection, Your Honor. Again, this is hearsay.
Overruled.
So once you track down the driver, and that driver being Tanner Horner, to your knowledge, what goes on once they locate him as the driver?
That, I really think that I probably need to leave that to Joe, because I know it was falling in place quickly. And we were back we had another press conference at the Sheriff's Office when all of that fell in place. And I learned of it after the press conference.
So for things that involve that lead, that FedEx driver lead, Tanner Horner, that was Joe, the FBI, and your investigators.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk to them. All right. So at some point, when did you first learn that Athena's body had been located?
We knew that he had been taken into custody, and we knew that they were moving to try to locate Athena. And I think it was probably right around 7:30 or 8 that night that it was verified.
And let me just ask you, where was her body finally located?
In the Trinity River, Bobo Crossing. It's right off of FM 51 back to the east, probably about 400 yards off of Farm to Market Road on a county road, underneath, well, next to the bridge there.
And about how far from what you referenced in these pictures here that we admitted, is it from Athena's house where she was abducted to Bobo Crossing where she was dumped?
When you look at it just as a crow flies, it's about 6 miles, but in driving it, I think it's somewhere around 12 or 13 miles.
And she was in the Trinity River?
Yes, sir.
So at this point in time, we've now located her body in the Trinity River. Do we have some form of CSI or body recovery team going on at that time?
Yes, we did. We had CSI from the sheriff's office as well as the FBI working hand in hand.
So let's fast forward a little bit. That group gets her body recovered from the water. What is the role of the sheriff and the sheriff's office going forward once we've recovered her body?
My main focus at that time was the family. They were all at the Cottondale Baptist Church, and we had the media. They were just around everywhere, and they were shouting at me from across the parking lots, and we weren't ready to talk to because our focus was the family.
Right. And I'm assuming at some point when you say the family, were you the one who notified the family?
Yes, sir, I was.
And that was on Friday afternoon, is that right, Sheriff?
It was Friday evening, I think, more so.
And, I mean, for those of us who've not done that, what does a sheriff tell a family?
Well, so we felt like we knew where she was, but we weren't sure. And so we got the family into that church, and there was a room off to the side away from the assembly hall. And so I went in with them and told them that it's not looking good, but we're not sure. So I asked them to give me about 30 minutes, and I would come back. That I could bring the truth back to them and what the findings were. So I went with the SAC from FBI. I went down to Bobo Crossing and that bridge, and we both went down to the river, and that allowed me the opportunity to tell them exactly what was true. It's something it's really hard to do, but my focus was that family. I wanted them to know before any of the media. I wanted them to know, and so that gave me the opportunity to go back and have that second meeting with the family. And it was heartbreaking. And they were just devastated. I don't know, there were probably 8 or 10 members of the family in there, and it was a Sunday school room, classroom. And I wish I could have done something to make it better, you know, because we were hoping, right to the last minute, we were hoping that she was alive and well. But what the information I brought back was not what they wanted to hear.
We're going to stop right now so that we can take care of the jury. And we will start back up at 1:45, everybody, 1:45. All right, everyone may be seated. Good afternoon. We are ready to proceed. State may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pass the witness.
Oh, that's the witness. Ms. Anderson.
No questions?
May Sheriff Aiken be excused.
Yes, sir.
Any objection from the state?
None from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sheriff. Who do you have next?
Patrick B.
They call Patrick McGuire.
Patrick McGuire. Solemnly swear or affirm testimony given in this cause to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the true self you got.
Yes, Judge.
Have a seat right here. Rule of evidence is in effect says you cannot be in court unless you're testifying, and once you have testified, do not discuss your testimony with anybody else except the lawyers, okay?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Your Honor. Special Agent McGuire, would you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name?
Yes, sir. My name is Patrick McGuire. I'm a special agent with the FBI in Fort Worth. My first name is Patrick. Last name McGuire, Mcguire.
Thank you. And I will tell you that the court reporter is taking down everything that you say, so we're both going to try to talk a little slower and not interrupt each other, all right?
Yes.
Awesome, thanks. So, you work for the FBI, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Can you kind of tell us, one, how long have you been working for the FBI?
I've been a special agent for a little over 5 years now.
And so if that was 5 years now, 3.5 years ago, you've been about 1.5 years on, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And what did you have to do? I mean, what kind of education? How did you end up being an FBI agent?
Yes, sir. I have my bachelor's degree, and then I was a police officer in the state of Virginia for about 8.5 years before applying for the Bureau.
And do they assign you to a specific location? You get to pick where you want to go, or what?
You list when you're at Quantico what field office you want to go to, and they assigned me to be in the Dallas field office and then the Fort Worth satellite office.
So there are actually FBI offices both in Dallas and Fort Worth, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is the Fort Worth sort of an auxiliary to the Dallas office, is the main office?
Yes, sir. Our main hub is Dallas.
And particularly with regard to missing persons cases where is the FBI got some special kind of resources available that maybe local agencies might not?
Yes, sir. It's common for local agencies to request the FBI's help during any kidnapping or missing child investigation.
And did you become aware of a missing child investigation that was going on in Wise County back beginning on November 30th and through December 1st, December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, sir.
And can you kind of just describe for the jury how it was that you became aware of it and what you did as a result?
Yes, sir. I was called by another agent who was on scene there was a FedEx package that was delivered to the victim address during the timeline of question, and that other agent basically asked me to follow down that box and figure out who delivered it.
So you're running down a lead, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And were you working by yourself or with another agent? How does that work?
Yes, sir. I was working with another agent.
And what was that person's name?
Special Agent Lindsay Hogan.
And what did you do first in order to try to investigate that lead?
We went to multiple FedEx locations, with the last one finally being the FedEx location in Alliance, to identify where the package originated and left from that FedEx location.
And were you able to determine that that package did in fact originate at that location?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you're talking about Alliance, are you talking about Alliance Airport?
Yes, sir. The location is right next to the Alliance Airport.
And what is at that location?
It's a very large facility where they intake and then a lot of trucks leave to go, I'd assume, through most of Fort Worth and the outstanding areas.
They have FedEx planes that land there, unload, and then they're distributed from that location to the various areas around Dallas-Fort Worth. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And as a result of going to that location, did you talk to anybody in particular?
Yes, we talked to one of the managers, Max Drescher.
And was he able to give you some information that you then were able to act upon?
Yes, sir. He identified that it was in fact a FedEx package that was delivered, and basically identified the route.
Go ahead.
He identified the route that had that package on its delivery.
And did he get in contact with any other individuals while you were there in his presence?
Yes, while we were in his office, he contacted Richard Davis, who's the owner of Big Topspin, which is the contract company for FedEx.
And I think a lot of times as we see a FedEx vehicle driving down the road that we think it's all owned by the big FedEx company. Is that true?
No, I believe most of the delivery trucks are owned by contract companies.
And then FedEx puts their logo on that contract company, but it still has no...
We lay a foundation for this.
Let me hear the question first. Yeah, ask the question.
What is Big Topspin?
It's a company that's contracted by FedEx to deliver packages.
And do they own a number of vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. And do those vehicles say Big Topspin on them, or do they say something else?
They say FedEx.
Okay. And so why specifically was Max Drescher contacting Big Topspin?
Because that was the contract company who owned the truck that delivered on the route that day.
And as a result of contacting Richard Davis, did you receive a name that you were able to then try to track down that person?
Yes, the driver was identified as Mr. Tanner Horner.
Okay. And did you later actually meet that person face to face?
Yes, sir.
And when did this take place? What date was it?
This occurred on December 1st.
Okay, so if the disappearance happened on November 30th, this would be the next day. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And about what time of day was it that you made your way finally to the Alliance location for FedEx?
Probably later in the morning.
And while you were there, did Mr. Davis get in contact with that driver to get you some more information about the particular vehicle?
Yes.
And did Mr. Drescher make contact with that driver while you were there and where you could hear both?
Let me finish asking the question.
While you were there and you could hear both ends of the conversation.
Objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
Yes, sir. While we were in Mr. Drescher's office, he contacted via phone Mr. Horner on speakerphone with myself and Agent Hogan sitting in the room to be able to hear it.
And was Mr. Horner asked by Mr. Drescher about the specific delivery to the address where the disappearance had occurred?
Yes, sir.
And what was his response at that time to that inquiry?
He advised he did not recall that address or that delivery specifically.
And so then as a result of that, what were your next steps?
We then went out to Wise County in Paradise to locate Mr. Horner in person and interview him.
And did you go directly there, or did you go to the command post where the search for the missing person was taking place?
I believe we went directly there.
Okay. And so how was it that you knew where to go?
We obtained the FedEx delivery sheet to know each delivery and each address.
And were you able to gain some information through either Mr. Drescher or Mr. Davis as to sort of where he was on his delivery route at the time that you were going out there to talk to him?
Yes, sir. We were told where he currently was and then where he would be in about 45 minutes for the drive time.
And so what did you do with that information?
We went to where we believed that he would be, and we located him at a delivery location.
Okay. And when you went to that location, did you have to wait for him? Was he already there?
I believe he was already there.
Okay. And so once you saw that the FedEx vehicle was there, did you approach the person?
Yes.
And do you see the person that you approached at that time here in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Could you identify where he's sitting in the courtroom and maybe describe what he is wearing?
Yes, sir. It's a gentleman at the end of this table wearing a light bluish gray shirt and gray slacks.
Your Honor, that's the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant.
Record will so reflect.
Was he wearing a shirt and tie at that time?
No, sir.
What was he wearing?
A FedEx uniform, like a black and purple FedEx logo shirt.
And may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Prior to court today, did you have the opportunity to look at a couple of exhibits?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you, first of all, State's Exhibit number 30. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And is that a CD?
Yes.
And did I play you a copy of that at that time that we looked at it earlier?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately, well, actually a DVD, I apologize. Does that have a small short clip on that DVD showing your initial interaction with Tanner Horner from inside of the FedEx vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I know it's hard to hear. We're not going to play it at this time because we're having some issues with the sound system. But if the jury wants to play that later, they can look at it at that time. Okay?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit number 29, is that a screenshot from that same video?
Yes, sir.
And do you recognize the two people that are depicted in that screenshot?
Yes, sir. The person closest to the camera with his back facing the camera is Mr. Horner, and the person in the flannel button-up is myself.
And you were able to watch State's Exhibit number 30, which this comes from, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did it show his face where you can clearly recognize him?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. This time I'll offer into evidence State's Exhibit number 29 and 30.
Judge, I have no objection. 29, 430 is playing. We would want to hear that.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. States 29 and States 30 are admitted, but we will let you review it before it's on 30, before it's exhibited to the jury.
And may I publish 29 here?
Yes, sir.
And is this the screenshot that's been admitted to State's Exhibit number 29?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's talk about, you can turn it off, or turn it back on, Mr. King. Let's talk about that conversation. Can you kind of describe for me, it didn't take place like within
I guess, earshot of the camera, correct?
Correct.
Where did you go to talk to him?
Just a little farther back, towards the rear of the truck.
And even as you approached him, can you kind of describe how that took place when you first approached him?
When we approached him, he was getting out of the vehicle, and we scared him, causing him to drop the package.
Okay. And then after you were, did he even know who you were at that point?
Not initially when we walked up, no.
And did you allow him to finish his deliveries that he was making before you talked to him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And all that's on that little video clip that we weren't able to play, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so once you do that, you go out of back towards the back of the truck, you said, is that right?
Towards the back of the truck, yes.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind kind of telling me what you were asking him and what his responses were to your inquiries.
Yes, sir. We initially asked him, again, about the delivery that was asked by Mr. Drescher on the phone. And he stated that after the address that he's delivering at while we're talking to him is a fairly short distance from the crime scene. And at that time, when we were speaking to him in person, he stated that after he had driven by the crime scene and saw law enforcement, that he remembered that delivery.
Okay, so when you first talked to him, you didn't talk to him, but Max Drescher talked to him while you were at the office.
Yes, sir.
His initial story was he did not remember, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then he said he drove back through the crime scene, or he drove back down the same road?
At the very least, close to it to see the large law enforcement response.
And then that made him remember the incident, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did he give you some indication of what he remembered about the incident that took place at this point still less than 24 hours earlier, correct?
Yes, sir. He advised us that he recalled the house looking run down and that he was basically initially start thinking that he didn't want to deliver there until he saw what he thought may have been the homeowner leaving in a vehicle and turning left out of the driveway.
And did he describe that vehicle for you?
Yes, he described the vehicle as a older green Chevy Astrovan, and specifically with sunspots on the hood and on the roof, and a piece of the panel, like the lower panel, missing on the driver door close to the front wheel.
Now, did you relay that? There's a command post, correct, for this missing child search, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that child's name's Athena Strand, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she was a 7-year-old girl.
Yes, sir.
And so there's some urgency with regard to trying to find this little girl, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you relay this information back to the command post?
Yes, sir. After this interview, we immediately went to the command post and relayed that information of that vehicle to the command post for further investigation.
Because if that was true, that's somebody you would want to talk to, correct?
Yes, sir.
And tell me, was there something else that caught your attention, though, as you're talking to Mr. Horner about this, what he remembers? Kind of describe the rest of that conversation and what it was that sort of sparked your interest, attention at that point.
Yes, sir. During the majority of the interview, Mr. Horner was very articulate. He answered every question properly. Good back and forth conversation. And then towards the end of the conversation, he got very emotional and almost to the point of crying, and stated to us that he couldn't believe something like this would happen and that he had his own child.
So he's acting like a concerned citizen, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in fact, so much so that he's like showing some emotion to you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you relay that information back as well?
I don't recall if we specifically told that, but we definitely kept note of it.
Okay. And so, based upon the information that you got from him at that time, was there an extensive search done for some mysterious green van that might have been leading to a potential lead on this missing child?
Yes, sir. There was multiple law enforcement hours spent looking into the van on law enforcement databases and doing physical surveillance on the ground, trying to locate this van.
And were resources that were dedicated to finding this missing girl, Athena Strand, that were being used running down other legitimate leads, were they diverted to go look for this green van?
Yes, sir.
Now, with regard to that search for the green van, was any green van ever located that would have been in the area at that time?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Now, after you had this initial meeting, kind of describe what happened next with you.
We went back to the command post. We relayed this information to the command post, and then were later tasked to interview further family members.
And based upon what you already knew, just from, how did you feel about being pulled away from the lead that you were running on at this point to go interview family members?
We were a little concerned by it. We were still interested in Mr. Horner. We still had some unfinished questions that we were concerned about.
And do you know a person by the name of Joe Espinoza?
Yes, sir.
And who was he?
He's a Texas Ranger assigned to this case.
And did you relay to him the information about this first meeting?
I don't believe directly. We told it to the command post.
Okay, the command post, but the information's running through him at the command post?
Correct.
Okay. So with regard to that, further investigating Mr. Horner, were you able to get back to that at some point later in the day?
That next morning, we began further investigating it.
Wasn't there a second meeting that took place on December 1st?
Yes, sir. Before we spoke to family.
Okay, understood. Okay,
Yes.
so we're not there yet. So you didn't speak to family in between the two meetings, is that right?
Correct.
All right, so let's just go from the point of the end of the first meeting, what we're looking at here, and kind of describe what steps you next took leading up to a second meeting.
We further asked Max Drescher from FedEx for more information about his deliveries on the date question, and we were given basically multiple deliveries during the time frame that we were concerned about, that we wanted to ask Mr. Horner about more.
And were you able to actually get FedEx to, I believe there was some type of a grand jury?
Your Honor, meeting.
Let me hear the question.
I'll start again.
Okay.
With regard to what you did with regard to FedEx, since you were already in contact with them, did you then later issue a subpoena for the information that was used to ultimately run down this lead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that was on a later date, though. But with regard to this day, were there further steps taken by FedEx and Big Top Spin to try to potentially gain more illumination as to what was going on in that van?
Yes, sir.
And can you describe that, please?
We got further delivery information on his route during the evening of the 30th.
And based upon that information, did you have some concerns that you wanted to clear up with Mr. Horner?
Yes, sir. There was about a 45-minute time period that should have been a drive time of approximately 11 to 12 minutes. So it gave us basically a half an hour of question that we wanted to ask Mr. Horner further about.
And did you try to set up another meeting?
Yes, sir. We called Mr. Horner on the phone.
And may I approach?
Yes, sir.
And actually, at some point during that conversation, did you get cut off in that conversation?
Yes, sir. At some point, the call dropped.
And so we've already admitted 30, but there's also I think it's 30 and 31 are that second conversation, and then 28 would have been the first conversation. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I apologize, I misspoke on the numbers earlier, so it was 28 rather than 30 as far as the first call.
Yes, sir.
So with regard to states 30 and 31, states 30 the beginning of that phone call before it got cut off, and states 31 when Mr. Horner called you back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've listened to those prior to court today, correct?
Yes, sir.
And does that fairly and accurately represent both ends of that conversation?
Yes,
as far
sir.
as audio goes?
Yes, sir.
Now, with that understanding of the mistake that I made a moment ago, I'm going to re-offer 30 as a part of the second video, as well as 31, and then 28 as the first call, first video. 30. These are the two.
You understand before, as long as they play correctly, we can have a check.
All right. So states 28 will be admitted and states 31 will be admitted, subject to review by the defense.
Yes, sir. And then, following those, we'll talk about the content of those calls in a moment. But following those, did you have another meeting with Mr. Horner?
Yes, sir. We met him in another package delivery driveway.
Okay. So let's talk about that phone call. You were calling him, you said about some type of time discrepancy. Now, was that something that was actually, something that actually occurred, or some information that you've been given that you were trying to follow up on that you later learned to be not exactly what you were being told?
Yes, sir. Between the time of the phone call and then meeting him in person, we learned that the times given to us by FedEx were incorrect.
But nonetheless, you'd already set up a meeting. You had some interest in him getting some further information, so you went in and had the meeting. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's talk about on the phone calls. Did he talk to you about possible reasons why there might be some delays in his between package deliveries on that particular day?
One of the reasons he advised us was that he had thrown up at a Love's truck stop.
Okay. And did he elaborate on that as far as where he got sick, how long it took him, anything like that?
He stated he didn't feel well on the route, that he then began driving back towards the Alliance area, pulled over on the side of a random road, threw up, and then continued to a Love's, threw up again before continuing back to the FedEx location.
And with regard to this location where the Athena Strand went missing the night before, did he give you any information about whether or not that was the last package that he delivered that day or something else?
Yes, sir. That was the last package that he had delivered that day.
And he admitted that to you at that time, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did that pique your interest even further?
Yes, sir. On the information we obtained from FedEx, that was the last package he had delivered that was not marked as delivered in the FedEx system. And then after that, he had another approximately 4 or 5 packages that he was supposed to deliver after the one to the Strand household and did not deliver them.
So, but he's telling you that's because he got sick, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So, you go and you meet with him during those conversations, did you set up a place where you could meet again?
Yes, sir. He advised us where he was on the package delivery route and an address to meet him at.
And prior to court, did you see a screenshot of you as you're approaching him during that delivery?
Yes, sir.
May I approach your arm?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit number 32. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
And is that the screenshot that shows both you and Mr. Horner at the time of the second meeting?
Yes, sir.
I'll offer in the evidence States Exhibit 32.
Okay.
States 32 is in me.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And this person walking up here, who's that?
That's me,
And who's the person with their arm up?
Mr. Horner.
Okay. And are you familiar with something called UTC time?
Yes, sir.
And what is UTC time?
That's just the standard time a lot of video devices and basic electronics will use as a standard time.
Okay. And is it sort of like, I always heard Greenwich Mean Time. Is it something like that?
Yes, sir.
And so when you measure other time zones, do you measure them by UTC plus a certain number of hours or UTC minus a certain number of hours?
Yes, sir, based where you are in the world.
And Paradise, Texas, or Cottondale, Texas, you can turn that back on, Deputy King, thank you. Paradise, Texas, at that time of the year, what was the calculation? Is it 6 hours difference?
Yes, sir. At that time of year, it would be UTC or GMT -6 to make Central Time.
Okay. So then, looking at the time frames that you were there, this number here, 21:45:01, if you subtracted 6 from 21, that makes 15, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that would mean that would be 3:15 is on military time. What time of day is that?
That would be 3:45 p.m.
Okay. And is that time consistent with the time that you remember meeting with Mr. Horner the second time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, with regard to this meeting, tell me just in your own words, describe what took place here.
We initially spoke about the time discrepancy again, and basically told him that what we spoke about on the phone, we learned now to not be true. And then we further asked him about the green van that he had initially told us during the first interview.
And did you do something more than just ask him about it with regard to the green van?
Yes, sir. I Googled and found a picture of a older green Chevy Astro van.
And what did you do with that?
I showed Mr. Horner my phone and asked him if the vehicle on the screen matched what he saw in the driveway the day before.
And what was his response?
He stated that vehicle was very similar to the one from the driveway.
And can I approach you, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 33 and ask you to recognize that.
Yes, sir. That's a screenshot of the picture in the Google search that I showed Mr. Horner.
And this is the one that he said, yes, it looks like that.
Yes, sir.
I'll offer State's Exhibit number 33 to evidence at this time.
No objection.
States Exhibit 33 is admitted.
And again, based upon that information, was there, I don't know if you call it an APB with regard to, what do you call it when you're looking for a particular type of vehicle?
We usually call it a BOL or be on the lookout.
And was that done with regard to this type of a van that might have been spotted within the area?
Yes, sir. That information was passed to the command post, and further investigative hours were spent looking for that van.
So, at the end of this meeting with Mr. Horner, kind of tell us how it went down as far as you're meeting with him, you get this information, and then what happens?
After we finished the contact with him, we walked back to our vehicle, and then went back to the command post.
As you're sitting in your vehicle, getting ready to go back to the command post, did you watch Mr. Horner exit the location where he is currently at?
Yes, sir. Mr. Horner, in the FedEx van, backed out of the driveway, across the road, and then struck a tree on the other side of the road.
And what did he do as a result of that?
Mr. Horner exited the driver's seat, looked at the rear of the truck, and then got back into the vehicle and left.
Did you find that odd, given what you just talked about?
Yes, sir.
Did he seem to be paying close attention to what he was doing at that point?
No, sir.
Now, with regard to other things that you did in this investigation to try to find Athena Strand, can you kind of just give us a brief synopsis of those things?
So after we did the second interview, we went back to the command post, and then that was when we were tasked with interviewing further family members.
Now, based upon your conversations with Mr. Drescher and Mr. Davis, were they trying to obtain some more potential evidence as to what might have happened?
Sustained.
Did you ask them to obtain some more evidence?
Yes, sir. Later on the 1st and early into the 2nd of December, we obtained further information from FedEx.
Go ahead, you may answer.
We obtained from FedEx further information of Mr. Horner's delivery route on the 30th and on the 1st.
Was there some indication that there might be video in this van?
Yes, sir. We were also advised that all the vans were equipped with a dash cam.
And did you ask them to try to obtain that video information from the vehicle that Tanner Horner had been driving on November 30th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Now, was that able to be done on the 1st?
No, sir.
But on the 2nd, did you receive video from that van?
Yes, sir. During the afternoon of the 2nd, we obtained video from Velociter, which is the company that runs the dash cams.
Now, were they able to give you a full video of the entire event?
At the time, during the afternoon of the 2nd, no, sir. The first video we obtained was basically a phone recording of a screen of the dash cam.
Did you see something on that piqued your interest?
Yes, sir. It was a phone screen recording of a video of Mr. Horner placing a small girl into the back of his FedEx van.
And was the time on that video consistent with the time that Athena Strand went missing?
Yes, sir, as far as I recall.
Now, at approximately the same time, based upon other information that you had already obtained with regard to the routes and those sort of things, was there action being taken to try to detain Mr. Horner?
Yes, sir. At the same time that we obtained that video, myself and Agent Hogan were doing surveillance on Mr. Horner during his route on the 2nd.
So, for a little while on the 1st, you were diverted to speak to family members. Why was it that they were focused on speaking to family members when you're in the middle of investigating this one?
A lot of time during law enforcement investigations into a missing child abduction, your family is likely suspects. So one of our initial jobs is to follow any lead, but usually talk to the family and identify further leads from them.
And so, because you all do, I guess, the big thing that you see on TV with the FBI is profiling, right?
Yes, sir.
Explain what that means.
Basically getting it's a behavioral analysis unit. I'm not a member of it, but they basically will intake all the facts the field will get to basically create a profile of who they would generally believe to be the suspect.
And just, is there a lot of things that go into those kind of profiles?
Yes, sir.
Statistics and other things?
Yes, sir.
And with regard to that, is it often true that a person that is responsible for abducting a young child is often either a family member or somebody that knows that child?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The stranger abductions are less common or more rare, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so with regard to this case, you were able to kind of help lead in the right direction with regard to Mr. Horner. What changed on the morning of the 1st as far as now you're back on surveilling Mr. Horner?
The morning of the 2nd was when we...
Second, I apologize.
Yes, sir. We obtained the official records of the deliveries, and basically there were some anomalies of the last package delivered was the one before the victim address of the Strand household. Then we know the Strand package was delivered because it was on their doorstep, but not marked delivered. And then there was 4 or 5 more packages that should have been delivered that night that were not delivered.
In fact, just coincidentally, did you later learn that the first delivery that you, first time you met him, he was at delivering a package he should have delivered the night before?
Yes, sir. Looking at the tracking numbers for all the deliveries he did not make on the 30th, the one of the packages he was delivering when we walked up to him the first time on the 1st was supposed to be delivered on the 30th by him. It was not. It was put back on the truck and then delivered by Mr. Horner on the 1st.
But he was delivering that he seemed to be doing his normal route and doing his deliveries just like any other day at that point?
Yes, sir.
Did he ever admit to you at any time that he had anything to do with the disappearance of Athena Strand?
No, sir.
Had he done so, obviously you would have taken different steps, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Instead, based upon that information, other resources were diverted other places, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, on the second, when you're surveilling him, were you in a position where you were able to see when he was actually taken into custody?
We arrived shortly after he was taken into custody.
All right. And who was it that took him into custody?
It was marked units from the game wardens, from the sheriff's office, from multiple different agencies.
And after that point, other than obtaining the grand jury subpoena for all the FedEx records, were you involved in this investigation any further?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness. Cross-examination.
No questions, Your Honor. We have no issue.
I'm sorry?
We have no issue with him being excused.
All right. You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Counsel. Y'all approach.
All right, everybody, we will be in recess until 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you.
All right, y'all, and that's going to do it for today. Day 1 of the Tanner Horner sentencing hearing. So in the death of 7-year-old Athena Strand, Tanner Horner has pleaded guilty to aggravated kidnapping and capital murder. The jury will now decide his fate, either life in prison or the death penalty. So we'll be back Monday for day 2, exactly as the jury sees it. If you enjoyed today's coverage, please hit that thumbs up and click that follow so you don't miss a single day. Thank y'all so much for being here today. It truly means everything. So until next time, this is Wikipedia, the most authentic trial experience online. Howdy out.
The only reason today, so I'm not sure either. What about you? Are you on this full time?
I'm shooting for us in 3 days. We're doing it, and then I'm covering it this week. So tomorrow, do it 12 to 8. Wild start.
Mm-hmm. Were you here whenever they did the whole meetings and everything?
Yeah, because it's like, what's happening? Let's go with it. I was like, oh, that's
I'll see you later.
Yeah.